Hello everyone, it's RedEffect. Today we will be taking a look at the best tank Soviets used in World War II, the IS-2. Let's talk about some history of the tank, shall we? Heavy tank used by Soviet forces was mainly KV-1, but its performance was no better than the one of T-34, and the mobility was much worse, and it also had a lot of issues with transmission. So the replacement was needed. Red Army needed a tank that could match the German Tiger tanks. The chief designer of the new tank was Joseph Kotin, and he decided to name the new tank in the favor of Stalin, so the tank was named Joseph Stalin. It was decided to take the hull design from the prototype tank KV-13 and transmission and turret design from KV-1S, since those modules proved to be good on testings. So the IS was a package of best modules USSR had at the time. The first gun chosen was the 85mm gun, because on the tests it could penetrate Tiger's front. So the IS was created. The first destination was the IS-1 or IS-85, but when tested they concluded that Tiger and IS-1 could penetrate each other from the same range, so the new gun was required. The gun proposed was the 100mm D10 gun, but it was not yet ready and not enough ammo was made, since it was a relatively new gun. So the gun chosen was 122mm A19 gun, renamed to D25T. The new tank was named IS-122. But the gun did have issues. The reload speed was really slow, because it used the artillery screw bridge. On trials, 122mm gun penetrated new Panther tank from 1400 meters. The shot came through the whole tank and exited on the back. Improvements to the gun and armor were needed. The gun received semi-automatic drop breech, which granted faster reload. The front glacis was also changed. Now it was completely sloped. The tank arrived in the spring of 1944 and was named IS-2. The IS-122 was also renamed to IS-2 because of simplicity and the trick the Germans that they had more of new IS-2 tanks, in order to drop their morale. Fun fact: if you ever wondered why did Soviets paint white stripes on the top of their tanks at the last stages of World War II, especially on IS-2, well, that's because on the Yalta Conference it was agreed that Soviets should paint white cross on the top of their tanks, so once they reached Berlin, Allied bombers wouldn't bomb them. Both US and UK were aware of that, so it prevented friendly fire among the Allies. Let's take a look at the stats of IS-2. The armor was really good. Front glacis had a 30-degree slope and was 120mm thick, which made it almost impossible to penetrate. Even by the long 88, Germans mounted on their Royal Tigers and new tank destroyers. The turret was 100mm thick with a spherical shape. It also had a 100mm method over the left side in front of the gunner, which increased the protection to 200mm on the turret's left side. Side armor was different on different spots. It ranged from 130mm on the front to 90mm on the back, but on turret it was 100mm on the side and rear. The rear hull armor was 60mm thick. The engine was 12-cylinder V2 diesel engine with 600 horsepower, which gave IS-2 power-to-weight ratio of 13 horsepower per ton and maximum speed of 37 km per hour. It was armed with 122mm D25T gun, which had penetration of around 180mm at 500 meters. On the test, the gun did manage to penetrate the Royal Tiger from 600 meters, so it was one of the best 80 guns in World War II. It was also armed with 3 DT machine guns, where one was placed on the right side of the hull, the other next to the main gun, and the third one in the back of the turret. Many also featured DSHK machine gun on the top of the turret. The crew consisted of 4 members: commander, gunner, loader, and driver. Commander had access to the radio so he could communicate with other tank commanders. He also had access to 6 vision blocks, which enabled him the 360 degrees view, as well as a periscope. Gunner was placed in front of the commander, and he had access to his TS-17 gun sight as well as his own periscope. Loader had to load the ammunition into the gun, which consisted of 2 pieces, because the shells were heavy. It did increase the loading process, but it enabled the loaders to stay agile throughout the whole combat without getting tired of loading extremely heavy shells. He had access to 28 rounds of ammunition, of which 20 were high explosive and only 8 were armor piercing. He also had access to his own periscope. Driver was the only member placed in the hull. He had access to the vision blocks in front of him, as well as the periscopes located at the top of the hull above him. IS-2 took part in the last stages of World War II, as well as in the Battle of Berlin. It proved itself really well. It had very few losses and proved to be a good tank killer, and its powerful 122mm gun could blow almost any defense set by the Germans. That's it, thanks for watching. If you think I made a mistake somewhere, make sure to correct me in the comment section down below, and I will see you all in the next video. Have a nice day.